today. I think the last time I was in front of an audience or in front of contemporaries in this community was the last FM Future event in Chessington. So, you know, we're really proud to be sponsors of FM Future. Fraser, you alluded to thanking your sponsors earlier. I'd like to thank you guys for putting on events like this, because it's really important that we still have an ability to engage, learn, understand and discuss what's going on in the marketplace. So as sponsors, more of these events, please. I need to get out of the house more. My wife is encouraging me to get out of the house more. So let's talk about what else we can do together in the future. We're also really proud to have been sponsors of the survey, the FuturePrint PAC survey. I think it's really important that the community engages in surveys, questions and provides feedback so that we know what's going on. I think, Marcus, I'm right in saying this is probably the most participated in survey we've done to date. So thank you to everyone who did participate. I think the feedback for us, Ricoh, the feedback for us as a community is really important to understand the direction and the trends which are ongoing in our marketplace. So if you haven't already taken a copy of this, please do so. There are loads of them at the back. Really valuable tool to understand what's going on in the marketplace. The survey as well is kind of useful for a company like Ricoh to validate, you know, some of the direction that we've been taking as an organisation. And I was really pleased to see from the survey some of the trends that you and the market fed back, because it helped us to kind of, you know, realise that we were moving in the right direction in many different areas. So in terms of understanding or the importance of compliance, the importance of energy consumption, environmental and sustainability arguments, and process complication. So all of these, I think, are some of the areas that I'm going to try and cover in my presentation today. Firstly, a little bit about Ricoh, or about my part of Ricoh. At the bottom here, we've got this layered structure, 1 to 5. First area where my business, Industrial Print, is active is in the provision of print heads to the OEM market. That's probably where you know me and my team from most commonly. So we've got a range of different print heads, both bulk and thin film, different widths, different resolutions, different drop sizes, all with a broad range of ink compatibilities. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. I think many of you might have expected me to talk about print heads today, but that's not the subject of my discussion for various reasons. Perhaps if this meeting had been taking place next week, I might have talked about a new thin film print head that will be announced on Monday. So we will, a little bit of a preview, we will be announcing on Monday a new thin film print head, TH6310F. It's got a really catchy title there, as all Ricoh print heads do. But you know, this is a print head that's, you know, it's been quite a long time in terms of its evolution in coming to market, in terms of us understanding where we wanted to position it, how we wanted to position it. But I think in terms of its resolution, its speed, its compatibility, I think this is it's a next step for our portfolio in addressing the transition of many digital marketplaces, many single pass, high speed applications, including packaging. And Marcus, maybe that's the next event that we can do is something around the launch of that print head. But it's not the subject for today. If you want to know a little bit more about it, or a bit of a preview, I'm here for the rest of the day, and my colleague Richard is also here. Please, you know, feel free to ask us some questions about that later. Secondly, in our layers of expertise is ink. You know, Ricoh is a printer manufacturer, so we've always made ink for our captive customer base, whether that be in UV flatbed, whether that be roll-to-roll latex printing, or whether that be high-speed continuous inkjets. So we've always made inks for those markets. More recently, we've turned our attention to providing those inks to an OEM marketplace as well. So water-based, oil-based UVs. And it's ink that is going to be the focus of my subject today. And I've got ink companies in front of me here, so I'm here to be shot down. But friendly faces, I know, so hopefully it won't be too difficult. The third layer of our expertise is software. Over the years, Ricoh has been relatively acquisitive. We've bought lots of software companies, including PTI, Colorgate, which are part of an end-to-end solution when we provide solutions to our OEM partners, either on a bespoke system build basis or a more standardized model. So software is certainly a huge part of what we offer to our OEM or brand customers. I'll just skip the fourth layer for a second, move on to the fifth, which is that complete system provision, where we have UV flatbed printers, we've got roll-to-roll latex, and we've got inkjet high speed in both cut sheet and continuous forms. Now, if I go back to number 4, this is our module business. So when you start a relationship or you start a development cycle, you have a commoditized head at the bottom. Okay, that's the first part of your system development. And at the top, you've got a finished printer. There's lots that goes on in between there. So Ricoh has got expertise, competence, experience in putting those systems together and putting all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, the building blocks, to help the faster development of those systems. And that's really what our module business is there to facilitate. Collaboration with partners. We don't always use our own inks. We don't always use our own softwares. So there are parts of the jigsaw puzzle that we have and parts of the jigsaw puzzle where we need collaboration and we need partners to help come in and facilitate a complete system solution. But in every sense of the word, Ricoh can be that one-stop provider, that one-stop shop, single point of contact for the OEM community or from a brand community in terms of developing new products. So, not talking about print heads, talking about ink. One more slide. So, what am I here to talk about today? So, we believe that we've got a new innovation, well, not a new innovation, but an innovative ink for the packaging and the decor sectors that is derived from a sustainable source. So for a long time now, we've been working with oil ink in the decor sector for collaborations we do with various partners, particularly in Germany. And this is a derivative of that pigment-based mineral oil ink that we've had in the market for several years now. In this case, the carrier is made from plants. It's a soybean oil, so very sustainable. It's fully tested. It's proven technology. As I say, the oil ink has been in our systems for a number of years, and we've got a high degree and level of confidence in it. And of course, as with anything that we do, fully optimized with our own head technology for high degrees of reliability and performance and ease of integration into new systems. So what's the working principle here? I think the ink colleagues will know with a dye ink, we have issues with ink bleed. With pigment inks often sitting on the top of the substrate, they can be difficult to dry. But in this case, with Ricoh plant-based ink, we've got that natural material, the oil, which is penetrating into the substrate, which actually needs no heat or radiation energy to fix it. Okay? Because it's natural carrier, there were no problems with odor because we don't have any initiators or monomers in the ink either. So some key benefits from this ink immediately. So sustainable, it's plant-based, biodegradable. We've heard about today, so makes recycling a little bit easier. From a system perspective, oil doesn't dry. Okay, so the open time of the head is extremely long. So from a system reliability perspective, it has a lot of advantages over other ink types that might be prevalent in the market today, particularly water-based inks. And importantly there, that no drying required, something I'll come on to in a couple of slides' time. So this ink on corrugated media, on packaging materials, has a high rub resistance. Obviously it's water fast, and it's got some great, good, strong aging properties as well. Fungus and bacteria, they need water to live. So there's no water in this ink. It's oil, so we don't need to put biocides in the ink either. So it's ticking another sustainability box. We're REACH compliant, another box ticked, and we're compliant with Roche as well. As I already said, with no odours, so no monomers and no initiators, and all the materials, all the components in this ink are from the Swiss list. And Richard, I'm really sorry that I didn't take the hyphen out of indirect, so slap on the wrist there. And relatively low, less than 5% VOC, so almost emission free. If we look at this plant-based ink against some other inks in the market, but firstly against UV, so we've got that net reduction in print costs versus the inkjet market today, taking into account that we don't have to dry. So there's energy that's not being used to dry the ink. We don't worry about the odours, and as I said, the process is greatly simplified. It's more flexible and it's more effective from an open time perspective with the print head. And of course, recycling is made easier as well in comparison to UV. If we take a look at this ink against water technology, we've got that same argument of no drying required, but also there's a lower ink consumption. We've got a high, high colour density performance, and I know every ink is different, but the tests that we've done to date would suggest in the region of around 50% less ink being used to attain the same optical density as a water-based ink. And still you've got that advantage of the jetting reliability and stable process performance because of the oil, and a significant reduction of CO2 emissions as well. From a process perspective, how does it look? Maybe on the top chart here, we've got a typical water-based process. In some cases, you might pre-treat, then dry, print, dry, an optional overcoat, and then dry again. Two options with Ricoh plant-based ink. So in the case of the need to pre-treat, we would still need to dry, print, and then rewind or stack in the case of sheet fed. But with plant-based ink with no primer, it's just a very simple process of printing, stacking, or rewinding. So greatly simplified from a process perspective. What does that mean in numbers? So an example we've put up here, typical single pass system, print width of 500 millimeters, print speed 50 linear meters a minute. Plant-based ink can deliver 65,000 euros of electricity energy savings in a year, and 150 tons of CO2 savings. So Fred, in your rather detailed analysis of your factory earlier, I think 150 tons of CO2 savings can't really be ignored. But the example I think is backed up by a lot of data. From an ink performance perspective, measured against our own mineral oil ink and water ink, I think this plant-based ink stands up really well. Obviously, we score highly on energy because we're not using the energy for drying. We've got a really high colour gamut, marked slightly lower than our own mineral oil because in some cases we need to use a primer. The process is greatly simplified. We've got that really high jetting reliability, good recycling and sustainability credentials, hazard-free from a CLP perspective, and overall I think the benefits are really strong in the argument of an oil-based ink or a plant-based ink for the packaging sector. I think at Ricoh, sustainability is really at the heart of everything we do. Whether it's on an individual level, on a business group level, or at a corporate entity level. Sustainability runs right through the business. Whether it's about reducing volumes, reducing overcapacity, remanufacturing of products, whether it's introducing inks that are more sustainable. So we're really keen to drive this sustainability message. So moving from a fossil fuel based materials to sustainable materials, and playing our part in saving the planet is hugely important to us as an organisation. We do believe that the time to change is now. Some of the sound bites that I put up on the slide here. We have an innovative solution, which I hope is going to stimulate some thought and some questions from the audience. I think it is, it's perfectly fitted, perfectly tuned to our head technology. It's already proven in other systems that we have in the market, in other application areas, and in-house we've got the expertise, the know-how, the skill, the experience, and the resource to support either OEM developers or brands who want bespoke systems to be built. We've got the teams and the resources to help with those innovation developments. It's a great ink to meet and reduce CO2 requirements, and it's going to contribute, we hope, to the net reduction government CO2 targets, but at a corporate level to help meet your own SDGs as well. So we believe it's time to change. If it's your time to change, whether it's from an OEM system maker perspective or from a brand perspective, we'd really like to talk to you about how this ink and how our technology can help the digitisation and the advancement of your systems. So thank you very much.